Luxury is as old as India. The country has a long history with luxury goods dating back to the Maharajas. Today, the market is valued at $6 billion, yet, in comparison to other markets like China and Brazil, is not growing as fast as retailers would like it to. Leading experts Joydeep Bhattacharya and Sandeep Lodha of Bain Company tell us about the factors that are holding back the Indian luxury market from expanding faster and what various stakeholders can do to overcome these roadblocks.
The first and the most important driver is the number of high net worth individuals. That's been a growing number in India. It's about 130,000 now. And that's really the foundational driver that you need for the growth of the luxury market. The second driver has been the investments made by luxury brands in awareness creation, in a lot of innovative marketing. You have Lamborghini kind of offering test drives on F1 circuits. You have a number of brands which have been featured in Bollywood blockbusters. The third driver is around the improvement in the retail environment. Again, we'll talk later about the extent of that improvement, how widespread is that. But there has been a move from hotel outlets into more malls and getting into some hybrid malls, both to improve access as well as the quality of the retail experience. And finally, the fourth driver that we see is the kind of emergence of new consumer segments which have a wider appeal, where you have consumers coming from the upper middle income segments, and they have higher preference for more visible luxury categories, which therefore kind of defines what the structure of the market is. So just to sum up in terms of the point of departure, where are we today? We have a relatively small market, which is about 6 billion. We have a steady but not spectacular growth rate. There are some bright spots like cars, like wines. But on the other hand, we have a rapidly growing base of HNIs. We have a long history of luxury consumption. But how would all this come together into a picture of the future? But before we get there, it's probably relevant to look at how other markets, which have a larger, more established base of luxury, how have they grown? What's really driven luxury growth there? And we'll get Sandeep to talk about some of these markets.
So in the next few minutes, what I'm going to do is talk you through why is the Indian market small? Can we understand that versus other markets? And once we understand that, it'll then help us to figure out what we need to do going forward. So we did some research, in our own research. We talked to industry experts to figure out what is going on that can explain this difference. There are 5 factors that we come up with here. Wealth is, of course, the number of HNIs in India is still smaller than China, yes. Luxury companies are not investing in distribution and marketing in India. The luxury consumers in India still don't have the appeal and the aspiration to buy luxury right now. It is still low. And especially if you look at the upper middle class households, they don't aspire to get a nice bag. So it's not there yet. Large number of shoppers actually still shopping abroad. And then finally, the external factors like FDI, ease of doing business in India, and the availability of good real estate. Those are the 5 factors what our research indicates is driving why the market is different. Question here is, how much are these factors driving? Can we figure out really what are the things we need to do going forward? So what we did was look at these factors and started comparing them. How do these factors look in other markets? So wealth, it is a factor, clearly, and but doesn't explain everything. Our HNIs and Brazil HNIs are similar. The Brazil market is larger. It doesn't explain everything, but it is a factor. It's a big factor. The distribution and marketing, you will see here, 60 stores versus 130 stores, 1,100 stores, and look at the size. It is a big factor. The aspirational value, the appeal, this is based on our own research across markets. The aspirational value is low in India. If you look at Google searches of luxury branded words, keywords, you'll find that Brazil is 4x India. So the appeal is not there yet. So it is a key factor. How about domestic shopping? If you look at the domestic shopping, you will see across market there is significant shopping happening abroad, across China, across Brazil. The import duties are not very different, India versus other markets. So yes, if you bring the prices down, the market will grow, but it won't explain the difference. So we don't think this is a big driver that explains the difference between India, China, or Brazil. And then finally, when you think about the last factor, the external factor, the FDI, the ease of doing business in India, things like those, it is a factor. So really, if you have to summarize this, we think the real drivers are the wealth, investment by the luxury companies, and the culture, which is driven by us, and also the culture that can be morphed by the luxury companies. Key suggestions we have, and you will see they will relate to the issues we heard as to why India is not growing. What luxury companies could do here is they could think about, one, India being very value conscious. Indian consumers are very value conscious across the board, be it any segment. Try to bring the price gap. And if the price gap versus other markets is similar, then change the perception. So still there's a perception around this significant price gap. So communicate aggressively to your consumers to reduce the price gap. Go beyond luxury malls. This is what I talked about earlier. Engage with the consumers early on. Invest to create aspirational value to these products. Make this a social asset beyond jewelry. Make your bags, make your accessories being really a must for women out here. Introduce a larger range at entry-level products, similarly to what cars did. If you look at the car market, they really opened up by bringing entry-level products in the market. And then evaluate adapting global style to local culture. Because we are different, we have to look at you. We have to look at the companies have to look at India as somewhat culturally different, and hence can you adapt to the local. If you look at the developers, what we think here is you got to invest to bring the footfall. Can we continue to develop hybrid malls? Hybrid malls like Palladium is a good example of a hybrid mall. And evaluate creating high street, which is more accessible to consumers. Finally, on the government, ease the market entry. Help the companies out there to come in here. They come in here. Yes, there is a favorable environment, but it's still very hard for them to get business done. So can we ease it like they did for manufacturing, single window clearance? Can we do something similar here? Facilitate conversion of heritage buildings into retail spaces. Finally, as the minister said, looking at 100% FDI in a more amenable manner. And finally, looking at reducing the import duties. These are some of the factors we came up with that different stakeholders could do to grow this market from where we are even faster.
Coming up next, we'll look at how making perfume is really a process of telling a story.